poor man's clapboard.
Yeah, I'm with you. It works. Or this works.
All right. Oh, that would probably really catch its signature.
Don't you wanna dream again? Now it's calling for me, go back to the start. Wishing on the starlight in the scarlet fade off for tomorrow.
Well, Sean, thank you so much for speaking with me.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So let's start with the first question. Tell me how you got started in voice acting, and was Goku the first character you voiced?
Yes. There was an open casting call in 1999 for Dragon Ball Z, and my friends were like, you should go audition. And I'm like, I don't want to. And they said, you should, you're good at voices. And I'm like, I don't want to. And they finally convinced me, and then I went and auditioned, and it was my first audition, yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. It's real. It was actually that, it went down just like that. Yeah.
How was it during the audition process?
I felt it was very comfortable and easy because I'd been a musician for many, many years, and I'd done voices my entire life. And so I was used to the artistic art of just preparing to perform. Okay. You know what I mean? And I'd done some acting, and I'd been in plays, and you know, I'd been in bands, and you know, I'm used to being a performance artist. So about 80% of my classical music training translated to the audition. So I remember going, wow, this is easy and fun. I copy voices all the time. I do this with my friends. I mean, for my whole life I had. So it felt like very comfortable. Yeah. Cool. I wasn't nervous really at all.
You're probably like, they're paying me for this or something?
Well, they didn't pay me then for the audition, but I was like, it feels that way. The adage is true. You know, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sounds great. So, what, if any, research did you do for the role of Goku?
They didn't have a lot of data for me. I did not have access to the manga. I had access to the Canadian version that we were taking over from, and their version of it. There was very little internet stuff up at the time when we first got on the part. When I first got the part, and so I was really trying to dig into the character, and I was trusting I get a lot of meaning from the scripts. And the scripts, I found out later, were not quite as accurate as they should have been for the original Z, right? Because they were trying to make the more broad appeal, right?
Yeah.
But now we do it exactly like Japanese, and we did since Kai. Okay. So, because the great thing is anime is more mainstream now, so they don't have, producers are more comfortable, you know, just selling it as it is, versus trying to, you know, water it down or change it a little so that you know, American ears can handle it.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that a lot of people, the Japanese storylines are a lot different than American, because anime and
Are you talking about versus the dubs, or different Japanese anime versus American cartoons?
Oh, just stories. Just
stories in general.
Yeah, stories in general. Like Voltron is completely very adult oriented.
Yeah.
When brought over the U.S., it was like they had to really tone it down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of violence and stuff.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff that Japanese parents are okay with for kids, and vice versa for America, that we're not okay with, that I would be okay with. You know, Japan's a great country, and their people aren't having problems because they showed kids violence early.
Yeah.
You know, there's none of that. It's all bullshit. It really bothers me. You're basically saying, well, since my kid's dumb, your kid has to be dumb too. I'm like, no, my kid can handle it. Your kid's an idiot. So I get to watch this show, and you don't. So if you don't like it, shut it off. That's why I don't believe in censorship. But I do believe, I used to be hardcore about that. As I've gotten older, I'm just like, well, I don't believe in censorship, but I do understand decorum. And I do understand time of day for, you know, and I want to be respectful for people who have stupid children. So, well, they do. I watch parents get all bent out of shape. Well, my kid can't handle it, so therefore no one can enjoy this show. And I'm like, well, no. So now we got to change it. You know, the BS&P standards I had to do for Yu-Gi-Oh! Board of Standard and Practice, it's always stupid stuff. And apparently they have people there, they have a board of people like a teacher, a bishop, you know, like a religion. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid to me.
Yeah. I mean, they do say that as we get older, we get a little bit more conservative too.
We do, but I don't know that for me it's conservatism as much as it is compassion for someone's nervous system who may be freaking out, even though I think it's dumb. Exactly. No, I'm not judging them. I'm not thinking you're stupid anymore, which I used to. I'm just going, oh, okay, I get it. Well, how do I get to enjoy this then? You know? So I just don't believe it. It just drives me nuts. It just, you know, words you can't say. What happened to freedom? It drives me nuts.
That's very big in our, like, the political climate today, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm very bothered by that too. It's like, especially as I'm a writer too. So
okay.
It's like, what can you, like, I'm a screenwriter, and this thing's like, it's like walking eggshells. Am I going to offend this person?
Yeah.
And that person, then offend this person, and somebody else can say switch it this way, and then that offends somebody else.
Yeah. No, it's ridiculous, and that's why, like, I'm glad Netflix is doing these. I mean, I'm seeing show after show that's just breaking all the rules of what a network would typically do. And it's really great work. It's great stuff. It's great creativity. There's a lot of really great shows on Netflix that would never air on the old three networks that we used to have. And some of them don't even have curse words or nudity or anything. They're just so mind-blowing. No one can handle this, but everybody loves it. So they were wrong, and I knew they were wrong this whole time. Drives me nuts. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm getting to the end of my day here.
No, that's perfect. That's great. So, do you draw from any inspirations for your voices?
Well, I had to copy the Canadian cast, and so the style of the voice. I always wondered what kind of voice I would use if I wasn't required to mimic that. It would probably be similar. Maybe not the diction I use. I don't know. So the style, you know, it's become my own as time goes on. When I started, I was trying to like sound like another actor, but it's become mine in that way. And so I draw inspiration. I think my inspiration is. Boy, I'm trying to think. Because this is. I've had this question before, and I was talking about somebody the other day. My inspiration is suspending. My inspiration is how can I make you believe this character really exists?
Okay.
So that's why I don't like it when fans try to compliment me and say, I heard your voice here, I heard your voice there, and they think it's a compliment,
Right.
which is sweet, but it's not, because if you're thinking about me and listening for my voice, you're not being suspended in your disbelief by my performance, and I want you to, when you're watching a show, be lost in it like it's real.
Right.
So if I'm doing Goku and King Kai, and a lot of people for a long time didn't know I did King Kai, which made me happy. And sometimes I use my natural speaking voice on a part, so therefore I really got to fool them with acting versus hiding behind an accent or something. So I think the inspiration is anytime I see kids or videos, or there's two reactions I get when I tell people I'm Dragon Ball. Only two reactions. One is, and the other one is,
Yeah.
That's my inspiration.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
Okay.
And that when I watch it back, it's like, this lives in that universe. And
Right.
then when it's shown, this will be believable.
Right.
So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it
it's a
totally
long
does.
answer.
It's you want. It's not just an understanding.
By the way, I love writers. I'll talk to you about that in a second.
Awesome. So it's basically you want that emotion. You want to.
I want you to be.
Yeah.
I want to be emotionally
To move,
impactful
yeah.
in a believable way.
Okay.
For the and serve the character properly and inspire and you know, when they walk away from it, they're like, God, made my night. You know, made my life, my journey on earth, which everyone's suffering. Life is suffering. I believe, you know, the Buddha said that, and it's true. And if I can ease that journey a little bit with a really kick-ass performance, then I'm more than happy to do that. Because other artists, the reason I do that, and that inspiration comes from artists who have done that for me in my own existential angst.
Right.
So this is one, by the way, another reason I love writers, outside of creative storytelling, is writers either make my job really hard or really easy. And so when writers are good, I love writers because I'm like, you guys, I'm rooting for you because you're gonna make my life miserable. Or so I always like to like them. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and also they have a really hard job. It's really hard to, you know. Well, some writers like, oh, it's easy to write. I've always been talented at it. Well, that's possible, but you have to. It's a lot of work. People think you can just make a cartoon. I'm working on original animation myself, and I'm having to write episodes. And when you go to write, I got all kinds of funny ideas. But what really works, what really sticks when you lay it out. So I've got a co-writer, and then I've got an animator, and you know, it's hard work. You know, it's difficult. So
yeah, that's why when you see critics say like, "Oh, this movie's so horrible, this screenplay is so horrible," and like, why can't they write it well? I'm like, they don't, you know, intend to make a horrible movie from the beginning. It's like, that's how difficult. That's
Although I have said this on numerous occasions, which I think is funny. I would watch some B action flick or some really cheesy '80s movie in the '80s, and I remember watching like on Showtime or some weird, like a Wings Hauser movie. No offense, Wings Hauser, but a lot of those movies sucked. And then I'd watch the credits and be hundreds, maybe thousands of people, and I think thousands of people got behind this shitty movie. You know, it's like all these people thought this was going to be really good, and they're like, I'm working 80 hours a week on this piece of shit. You know, and maybe they thought it was a piece of shit the whole time, but maybe they were thinking, I'm working on the new Wings Hauser movie. It's gonna be great. And they see it, it's like bombs. Everybody hates it, and they're going to see the credits, and you feel bad for them because it's like all these people's lives wasted on this piece of shit. That's why every time I take a shower in a hotel where it's got the Speakman shower head, which they suck. They always get good reviews online because I was buying shower heads recently, and those Speakman shower heads, no offense Speakman, they suck because they get clogged up and they're too powerful and they don't have other settings. So I always picture you remember Jeff Speakman, the martial artist? He's a martial artist, like a B film martial artist from the 80s. It's like lower than Jean-Claude Van Damme, like in terms of popularity. Yeah, lower than that. So Jeff Speakman in, you know, Fist of Fury. I don't know what movies he was in, right?
Yeah.
So every time I'm in the shower with a Speakman waterhead, I'm like, you want to knock those grime and grease off you, get a Speakman waterhead. He'll karate chop those germs off you. Like, it's just like an ad for Jess Speakman shower heads. So
yeah, I totally feel on that. Like shower heads are something I'm really sensitive with.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like something that's too low pressure, or something that's like remember Kramer? He got the
I love that episode. Love that episode.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like you want that power to like basically like pressure wash. Or
Yeah, you want that sometimes, but like I've settled on Kohler, the Kohler. That's how you spell that. Okay. And I the one in this shower in no, not in this hotel, in the Grand Hyatt. Man, I spent like half an hour in there the other day. I was like, and I looked at the head. And I go, no wonder. Like it's a Kohler, and that's the one I bought at home. I have the square version of this. I realized, I bought that head because I think I'd stayed at a Grand Hyatt that they had that shower head, and so I bought it. It cracks me up. The hotels are like, well, come with luxury. Oh, here's a shitty shower head and some shitty shampoo for your love. Give me some good shampoo.
Yeah. If it's a new wash of the soap,
especially if it's a four-star hotel. You know, if it's a 4-star hotel, 5-star hotel. In everyone, there's been a couple hotels where, like, and I travel all over the world, just a couple, but the ones that are supposed to be fancy,
exactly.
Here's some shit for your hair.
Yeah.
So I bring my fancy. I got to deal with this. It's very difficult. You know, Jen, this is difficult to deal with. I go to Ouidad to get my hair cut. You know, that curly hair specialist? Yeah, I go there. Actually, not anymore, but I go to the lady who worked there, who was their creative director, who went off on her own, but she's Ouidad trained. Anyway, and she's amazing. She's like an android. She cuts my hair like a robot. She's amazing. Anyway, next question. Sorry.
Yeah. No. I'm glad we segued.
Well, you know, you remind me of. Did you see? You know the guy in? Oh my God, because you're so buff. The guy in. Remember the guy in Big Trouble in Little China? The lightning guy. Is like.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that guy.
I can tell
you're big like him, and you kind of look like him.
I can tell you this: because I have the opposite problem of your curly hair, super straight, stubborn hair.
Yeah.
When I wake up in the morning, I look like Vegeta.
Really?
Because I got the widow's peak.
Oh,
that's
not that bad.
And I got the hair that sticks way up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You might want to go with that.
Yeah.
Get some Super Saiyan tips.
You know, just like don't fight it, right?
Yeah.
Just go with
looks
it.
Good though. Yeah, it looks good. Go watch Big Trouble in Little China. See what I'm talking about. No, it's the guy that puffs up. Maybe. I don't know, but you could have been in that movie easy. Because you're built for it, man. You're totally built for it. It's totally great.
Awesome.
I'm really admire people who work out because I'm like, because I could, but I don't have the discipline. So I'm like, that guy did this a whole bunch and he was real bored, but now he has big muscles. I'm not seeing that payoff for me, but good for him. You know,
my friend Pete, right? He joked about it. He said your life changed when you discovered iron and gravity. That's what he said.
Oh, really?
He was joking about that.
Oh, really? That's funny. That's funny, man. I like that.
Cool, that. Awesome. So going off of like you were saying, the inspiration. I'm assuming you don't speak Japanese.
I don't.
Right? You know?
I just know a few phrases. Yeah.
Okay. So do you ever listen to the Japanese versions of this and go, I wonder what they're saying, and wonder just you sort of impersonate them. You look at the scene, you go, let me ad-hoc this. Let me see what's going on.
I don't. A lot of fans, I philosophically and artistically, wholeheartedly disagree that when you're localizing a show, you just make it like the Japanese in terms of acting. Okay. Here's why. That would posit this idea, okay? And I've been thinking about this a lot because, like, why don't you do like Masako? Because I'm not Masako Nozawa. I don't speak Japanese. I'm not acting for. She's also a woman. She's also doing a different timbre. And I tried to mimic some of her inflections for recently just to see, and it does not work. And it also posits this idea, which is the original cast of any language recording the best acting performance of that show? Not true. No, I'm not saying about Dragon Ball. Right. What I'm saying is that, one could say, well, the Italian version of XYZ show, like for example, when we do The Office and it's better than the British one, or when the British one, like for us it's better, but sometimes the British version's better. It could be a cast choice, could be a script choice, it could be that. And I started liking it to Shakespeare, which isn't the best example, but it works in this way, okay? So that means so the first guy who played Romeo, he's the best guy for Shakespeare. I guarantee there's been a guy since Shakespeare's time who's played Romeo better than the first Romeo. Yep. So, and also, I've noticed that there's this trend, and I used to support it when I was an ADR director, where you just copy the feel and acting of the Japanese, and there it is. I'm like, I don't agree with that anymore. Because it's a different aesthetic, and so I hear actors acting as if, it almost sounds racist in a way, when they're trying to be in this kind of lilting kind of, especially when the actresses who play the Japanese teenage girls, when they do this high squeaky submissive thing. I don't know if it's a submissive thing, so I don't want to offend anybody, but whatever it is culturally, American girls don't do that in high school. So if I were casting a show now, I would cast teenage girls and boys and you know, and I even noticed it in Japanese shows with like there'll be a big hulking monster, and he'll just sound like this. I can't speak Japanese, but it'll just be a deep voice. Whereas to me, as an actor, I'm going, I want to hear monster boy. They have a big monster.
Right.
But for them, it's believable.
Right.
But for us, it's not, right? It's not for me, especially when I see a big, giant, hulking monster alien from another planet, and a Japanese voice comes out and just sounds like a really good Japanese opera singer. It's not believable for me, and doesn't mean it's not a good acted Japanese performance. So I didn't hear Masako Nozawa until I started working on the video games, not any for Z, and I didn't get into this business to just be a parrot, you know, of other things. I definitely believe in honoring the character and the script and the spirit of the character with the aesthetic of my culture, which is American culture. I'm an American, right? So I get real frustrated at the otaku and Japanophile fans who are like, you should just do it like this. Well, if you really like it that way, you should just watch the Japanese version because obviously that's what you like. So it's almost offensive to me because I'm really artistically pouring my heart and soul into something and I really care about it. I'm really trying to make it translatable and I'm really trying to honor that and that I will never be as good as the original voice because of yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, well, that's not true. That means that again, Shakespeare not being the best example because Shakespeare, when you translate to other languages, is very difficult because in and of itself, it's a mechanical system of the way it's composed. Maybe it's different for other poems, you know. I don't take cues from one of the things I noticed that was different between Masako and me, although she did something similar to me, even though she did it first, was I always wanted to make Goku have a specific goofy laugh, and she gave him that, but she goes, like she does like that, right? And I go, and I do some other, but I remember thinking that needs to be goofy. Another thing she does that I would never have wanted to copy because it doesn't resonate for me is, which I know resonates for Japanese fans, is she has a very specific way she does Kamehameha. She goes, Ka-me. She scoops up on each one. I build it up like an arpeggio, Kamehameha, or something like that. That's a typical pitch set I might use. To me, that makes more sense to me on how I see the energy building. But she must have a very specific reason why she does that. But that doesn't mean that if I do that, it's going to sound cool if I do it that way. So it's a philosophical discussion I've been trying to approach more and more because, you know, we're a cast that's working just as hard as another cast. And you know what I mean? And so, we're not less than. You know, that's what I'm saying. We're not less than. That's what I'm saying. And this is my life's work, just like it's Masako's life's work. And just because I'm not Japanese and not born in Japan doesn't mean we're less than. And so that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Because like I totally understand. It's like sort of Dragon Ball is basically there's a specific Japanese product, there's a specific U.S. product. It's not one is from the other.
Well, yeah, and it's specific. In the U.S. one, we definitely want to honor the story and honor the meaning, etc. But it's like, you know, it's like Dragon Ball is like the composer is Akira Toriyama, like Shakespeare. The play is, let's say, Romeo and Juliet. Let's throw out all the iambic pentameter. And now we are doing the American production of, what if Japan decided to do, let's say you didn't have to worry about the rhythm and rhyme for Shakespeare. And how do we not know that some Japanese theater actor is not going to play, do a version of Shakespeare that blows everybody's mind? And then we go, well, because you're Japanese, it's not as good as the British because the British thought of it. That's the gold standard. I don't agree with that for art. I don't.
What's that movie? I forgot. Ron or something?
Oh, Ron. Yeah. That's a great movie. I love that movie. Yeah, somebody's figure. I watched that recently. Right. Like I watched that like last year.
And that's just as famous. That's considered a masterpiece.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. So they took that story and did it in their own way. They're not going to just go, well, I'm going to copy this British guy. I'm going to use a British accent with my Japanese accent. Like it's asinine to me, honestly. It's otaku just freaking out and going. And not that I don't love otaku, because otaku definitely have their place in anime, and they're the core supporters of anime. So don't get me wrong, otaku. I kind of won myself a little bit around certain things, especially. So, you know, I guess I'm trying to educate fans and say, hey, you know, I get that you like the original, but the original isn't always best. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that about Dragon Ball. I'm just making that as an artistic statement. Like the Mexican cast has got a really huge following in Mexico, and I hear Mario is a fantastic Goku. What if he's better than all of us? I don't know. I'm not Mexican. I don't speak Spanish. But to some Mexican kid, he's the best Goku. You know? So I guess I really wish there was a more of an equal respect thing. At least in terms of the artistic interpretation of the performance. Now, when it comes to the actual composition of the story, Akira Toriyama being the composer, that definitely needs to be honored. With the exception, as a writer, you can appreciate this.
Yep.
And I was an ADR director and script adapter. I struggled a lot with Japanese humor, and I sometimes just did not get the joke, and that moment's going to fall flat, and I had to make up a joke.
Yep.
And I don't know if you struggle with that as a writer, or if you had to do adaptations from different languages.
No, but I can tell you that I'm bilingual.
Oh, cool.
So when I have to translate something,
What two languages?
Mandarin,
Mandarin,
Chinese,
okay.
and also English. So when people ask me, they say like stuff like, "Hey, how do you say this in English?" I go, "There is no direct concept. Like sometimes there's concepts that are in the language that just aren't existing."
And that's why on the Dragon Ball front, the reason I don't read the manga and the reason I don't watch this, there's two reasons I don't watch the sub of Super going forward. It's kind of like going to a Chinese doctor. Have you done Chinese medicine before? Have you ever been to a Chinese doctor?
Kind of like acupuncture.
I studied it briefly. The weird thing, Chinese medicine hits and misses with me, but one of the interesting philosophical things about Chinese medicine is you go to 5 different Chinese doctors, you're going to get 5 different diagnoses.
Exactly.
Which doesn't necessarily mean that all 5 of those guys can't help you, and that's what's always been confusing me about Chinese medicine. And I've studied it, not as in school, but I've looked into it quite a bit. And I knew the professor of Pacific College of Oriental Medicine in New York. I was friends with him for a while. Asked him a lot of questions about Dr. Ning Ma, is his name. He's a really well-known doctor in New York. So, that being said, when I watch the sub, Funimation uses a different translator than the sub. So I watch the sub. I start getting married to those lines. That starts incorporating itself into the zeitgeist, or not the zeitgeist, but my zeitgeist or my soul with Goku. Then I go into a session. And it's a different line. I'm like, wait, in the sub it said this, and I get insecure, then I'm starting to check it, then I'm wondering, and then I'm not in character, so I can't look ahead. And I don't read manga. I don't read the manga because I'm sure Viz has great translators. But one thing I know translators like to do, which they're not always great at, is they translate it technically, but they don't really get those flavors that you're talking about that are untranslatable. There's a guy here I met who's a translator who I think is able to do that pretty well. He's a really good translator. We were talking about that. And it takes a certain amount of creative writing skill to translate something and let an American or an English-speaking person experience what the Chinese person is experiencing. That takes a certain amount of creative writing skills.
Yeah.
And what happens, I notice in manga translations, it's either bare bones or it doesn't have the flavor. And so I look at it and go, I could read all this, and it probably won't be exactly the right story, even though they're trying really hard. So then I don't. I really want a really pure translation by the very best translator. And so if people get frustrated, well, just watch ahead. I go, the other reason I watch it on subs is because Goku does not know what's happening in the future, and I play Goku, so I don't want to know what's happening in the future because it might affect my performance. So people don't give me enough credit for thinking about this, and I've blown my mind out thinking about this all the time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I've talked about this a lot today. These are great questions. You're giving more. Sorry.
Awesome. Yeah. No problem. So, what's the most challenging and favorite scenes?
I've said it over and over. My favorite work is Battle of Gods Resurrection F.
Okay.
My favorite scenes, they're the epic scenes I like. They're humorous scenes I like. There's Majin Vegeta scenes I like. I love doing the scene with Goku and King Kai meeting Beerus and Whis for the first time. Here's a perfect example. The writers of Funimation, who are great writers, they will sometimes write something I don't agree with, and they had written Goku doing all the stumbling over honorifics with lots of these and thous. Yeah. And my first thought was, when would Goku know about British speak? Would he have seen it on British television? Why would he do the these and thous? How is this fit? So I said, no, he's not. He wouldn't even be smart enough to understand these and thous. So I did a whole just stumbling over it, making up. When people get nervous and they just randomly place words out of order? I did it that way, so happy to be meeting you at this time, your highnessness of allness time, or whatever I said. I try to make it very Goku's trying to be formal with only the words in his vocabulary.
Right.
And so I had to change that. So I'm really trying hard to keep it. So I love doing that scene with King Kai because it's hard to. I had to carry a whole comedy scene doing 2 voices and make sure they don't sound like each other and they don't act like each other, and that it suspends the disbelief of the kids watching the show. So that was one of my favorite scenes, and the "Will Not Let You Destroy My World" scream where I lose my shit. That was really fun. Yeah. That gave me chills watching it, so I'm like, oh wow. So most of the time I think I look like a douche in the booth, but that scene I went, all right, that's all right. I give myself a kudo a year,
No, I've seen voice actors and they some of the behind the scenes, special features, and I've noticed that you can't just sit there straight and then do a voice. You got to actually imbue yourself into the character.
You have to be the character.
You got to wave your hand around. You
have to be careful with that. You have to be careful with what clothes you wear. I've worn clothes, shirts. They do that, and if I'm moving around, they go, "Sorry, you wore the wrong shirt." So they're actually clothes voice actors avoid wearing, so they can move around a little bit. Because you can't move off the mic too much because you'll get off access.
They do it shirtless.
You could, yeah. If I was ripped, I probably would have recorded those scenes. If I was like ripped like you, I'd be like, and because they're videotaping me and I'm screaming, that would have been great.
That'd be a great special feature.
Yeah, I might have to do that I have to get in shape for the new movie. I only have 6 months, so I'm not going to lose all this weight in 6 months, that's for sure. Oh well, no.
Awesome, cool. And final question: any upcoming projects you want the fans to know about that you
can talk about? Oh, there's a particularly exciting episode of Welcome to the Wayne that I had a guest starring role in that I'm particularly proud of. I can't really talk about it, but I know it's done, and I know it's airing or has aired pretty soon. Where I'm playing a guest musician. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
That I got to play a rocker of sorts. And that's all I can say about that because I'm not supposed to talk about it. But I'm excited. That was exciting. A couple of things I can't talk about. A couple of video games. No, most shit you can't talk about until it's out. So the stuff I'm working on now. But honestly, I do voice act fairly regularly. But Dragon Ball is so consuming for me.
Right.
Between promoting it and appearing and doing appearances. I mean, my agent's mad at me because I don't audition a lot because I'm just like I'm exhausted. I go, okay, now I gotta go act some more. Okay, so like I get done with Comic-Con. I got like 2 weeks off. I'm gonna try to catch up on some auditions because my agent, understandably so, is probably not happy with the fact that I'm not auditioning as much as I should. So Dragon Ball is my life right now. I mean, I've done dozens and dozens of other roles, but I'm here for Dragon Ball. When that's over, I can die. So
Perfect. Sean, thank you so
much.
For your time.
Thank you. Great questions.